we're going to work a little bit of pressure passing, and I'm going to show a number of different ways of forcing pressure positions, like forcing into the half guard, depending on what the person on bottom is doing. So there's a really simple idea that I like to use, is that for someone with a very flexible guard, you might have trouble to stuff the legs. If we can stuff one leg or stuff both legs like this gives us a really simple route straight forward to just lying our weight down on top of the person. And as I'll show in a few minutes, once we can find a position and some grips that we can use to settle our weight down, we can generally find a route into a position we can force from. But if we can't stuff the legs, so if the legs are down, we'll go forward, stuffing the legs. If the legs are up, well, then going straight into a stack position is a better idea in my opinion. So what we're trying to achieve is we're trying to find positions where, for the person on bottom, they're forced to push to some degree. At the very least, we're controlling them so they can't progress forward into more established guard positions. And then for us on top, we're trying to maintain positions that will allow us to improve our positioning one step at a time to eventually be able to force a position like the half guard or the side smash pass, where we can really start to work to pass the guard from there. So let's start with, say, if the person's holding both of our sleeves like this. Maybe they have two sleeves, maybe they have a lasso, and we're tied up like this. The best thing we can do is to lie our weight forward and to move side to side. So we have to continually move to side to side. If we stop moving, it's very easy for the person to off balance us. So if we're lying here, we're moving side to side. This allows us to be able to keep our weight on the person. And from here, we can start to try and unwind our grips. So if we can't throw the legs by, if we can't kick the grips free, we're going to start to try and unwind our grips, just progressively forcing the person to have to let go of at least one grip. If I can rotate my hands under the legs like this, if I can rotate the lasso out, if I can rotate the bicep hook under, this lets me just at least make positions where for the person to progress forward, they have to let go. And as they let go, if I'm not in a position to stuff the legs, I'm going to try and find a single stack here like this. Once we get into a position we can stack from, I can lie my weight down with my hips up and my head forward and just maintain this control. And then slowly we can start to work to more effective positions. So an example might be from here. Let's say if I have the pants and a single leg stack and I have myself lifted all the way up like this. If I can stretch this leg out here and then I want to hold the sleeve, so maybe I can step on this leg to make my sleeve grip. If I slide my knee in, start to pummel my hand in, now we're in a much more traditional type of knee slide position, much more effectively, because we were able to maintain our control from the stack and then move forward. So this is the kind of idea that we want to work with. So if the legs are down, we can stuff them, we can go straight into a smash pass. If the legs are up and we can't stuff them, we can go straight into a stack. And then once we end up in one of these positions, we can start to work forward, improving our grips and then improving our positioning and then progressing on to a pressure pass. So just with that example again, to try and reiterate, okay, I can't necessarily get close, maybe I'm getting tied up. I'm trying to at least find positions where the person, to be able to progress forward, has to let go to some degree to then allow me to establish a better control. In this case, it's a single stack. Even if Emily had both of my sleeves here, look, if I can just bring my hands into positions where it's hard for her to extend the lasso, extend the legs, she's going to have to let go eventually. And then as we start to change the grips, this is a chance for me to get deeper and deeper. When I'm deep in like this with my grips, I can hold the position. And then as I feel more comfortable, I can start to try and change my grips over, bringing myself into more effective positions to pressure and pass from, like this. There are some positions on the top where we may be able to put our weight on the person, but not actually cause them to have to tire out or push us away. So just as an example, if I'm in like a knee shield like this, okay, I might be able to put lots of weight down and lie my weight very heavy. But if Emily has good positioning, if she has her elbow on the inside of the knee, foot on the hip, a good strong position here, not letting me grab the head, I could lie here all day and she could absorb the weight without having very many difficulties to keep me there. So an idea that we can work on here is that the difference between this position and, let's say, having a knee slide is really quite small. It's a matter of small positions with my body. So it's a matter of me having my elbow on the inside of the knee, me undoing this De La Riva hook. And it looks kind of similar, but if you are anyway experienced in playing this position on the bottom, this is really hard to defend from, because all of your options for having any kind of frames or wall or defense to stop the person from coming close are undone. So even if I have these grips, Emily can still have her position. So for me on the top, something that we can do is to imagine like a grip progression. So if we can't find the position to be able to crush the person from, we can at least find the grips that we can use to force them to have to defend with. So in this example here, let's say that if I have the knee shield position like this, but I have a collar grip and a pant grip, I can maintain holding these grips while she's in the bottom and allow both of us to move around a little bit until I can find the position that's going to let me pressure much more. So just as an example here, I can keep my weight on like this. Maybe I can try and change the angle of the hips, clear the foot off the hip of my elbow, and maybe get closer and closer in as we start to lie the weight down. I never have to change my grips as I'm doing this. I can maintain the exact same grips. Another example might be that if we hold here for long enough and we really keep this half guard position, Emily might start to reach up with the underhook here and start to try and like play a half guard play, like a knee torque half guard, maybe sitting up, and this might give me an opening to start to get the cross face here, trying to flatten out, maybe bringing myself much deeper into the half guard. So it's very simple idea, but the patience that we need is all about the understanding that we have of how the position works. If we recognize what are the small goals we're trying to achieve, we're much more likely to be able to stick to them and move forward as we get these small wins when we break the position down into smaller and smaller positions. And then the final thing is to recognize how to distribute our weight properly as we go to pressure. So if I can find positions for the person on bottom that's going to force them to have to expend a lot of energy to maintain the position, then for me, if I can lie and wait there, I'm going to be using no energy while they're getting tired on the bottom. So an example might be, let's say if we step into kind of a knee shield position like this, most of the time, we move back just slightly here, most of the time the person's going to try and face towards you, and they're going to try and maintain their hips to face towards you, because that's where all of the effectiveness of their frames comes from. If the person's trying to maintain this position here, I can let them stay on their side and maybe just try and swap over so that I have my other leg in between. And now from here, look, I'm starting to work into a side smash position. So I'm not trying to force their body into a different position. I'm just trying to find somewhere that I can hold and lie down and then keep my weight here. As we keep the weight down and we just lie ourselves closer and closer to getting control of their hips and then their shoulders, this allows us to be able to force the person to have to defend. So even if we don't pass on the first go, they're going to be getting tired. And if we have solid positioning that we don't fall, we might be able to hold here while they're moving to eventually bring ourselves into a position like the mount, or if they catch our leg, we can at least get into the half guard.